I'm going to pass over to my fabulous colleague, Lucy Rennie, right now. She's a brand strategist by day and one of the people who's done a huge amount of work to make these awards come to life by night. And together with a few friends, she's going to tell you what the Ombuds have been up to. So over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Jerry, and hello to all. Yeah, it's a great sort of occasion to be able to share some of the learnings that we've had from these 2 Ombul briefs that we've run. Amazing to see, as Jerry's touched on, quite how much came out of that, just hours really that they had in each day and each brief. And I'd like to introduce actually the panel that we'll discuss for the first brief, which was about creating posters to encourage the creative industry to be more inclusive of the LGBTQ+ community. Hashtag inclusive creativity, because you need a hashtag, especially when it's very much a social, open brief that can go out there. If we can bring on the panelists now, we have Sam Henning, Natasha Beecher, and Nick Entwistle, who, if I can just let you introduce yourselves. Natasha, one of our judges.
Hello everyone, hi, I'm Natasha, I'm Tash. My pronouns are she, her and hers, and I'm the Associate Creative Director of Copy at Pollen Health, which is a health advertising agency, and I'm also the Creative Director for Copy and the LGBTQ+ board lead for POC, which is an independent global creative organisation working to accelerate equality and equity, specifically for Black and brown people.
Quite a few things.
Quite a few things. Really happy to be here, really excited to be here tonight. Got my cocktail.
Brilliant, brilliant. And Nick?
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a creative director for the overarching brand that I have called Bank of Creativity, and within that, which has probably gone even bigger than the Bank of Creativity, but it still sits within it, is 1 Minute Briefs, which is a platform of creative people, and just going by the name, it's about quick thinking, instinctive stuff, getting ideas out there quickly, and collectively we can achieve big things and trends and things each day. And obviously it was great to collaborate with Outvertising as well.
Oh, thank you. And Sam, last but not least.
Hi, yeah, I'm Sam here. I'm a strategic creative at Something Big, and also through lockdown have discovered 1 Minute Briefs and been kind of getting involved with that daily and putting in lots and lots of different ideas throughout that time. It's been a really amazing thing to kind of discover recently, and this brief in particular was just so good to get involved with. So it's such a pleasure to be here talking with you guys today.
Great, thank you very much all for joining. And Sam, I think it's interesting. One of the reasons we've done this brief with Ombuds was not only because we realised it's one thing realising you need to change, but actually we need to make the right people know they need to change. And so this brief was really a call to action to the industry and for you guys and your fellow Ombuds or anyone who saw the call to action, to create a poster to not only say, like, be more inclusive in your advertising, but also really emotionally convey that why in a compelling way. And we were overwhelmed with the number of submissions and the quality and the breadth, to rise into that. And there really was a spectrum. And we did have a social after each of the briefs, which Natasha, we were lucky enough to have you on as well, where the submitters, such as yourself, Sam, were able to kind of ask questions, hear the feedback, what worked, what different. Nick, how did you find that sort of process? Because that's not a normal process for you guys.
No, I think it's probably something that we'd hope to do more of with different organisations, and actually letting people have a little bit of an insight into it's subjective each day in terms of when I might choose a winner of an idea anyway, or you look at sometimes the more popular people might get more retweets, so it's quite nice to actually get it judged by a selection of people, particularly when working with advertising, because it's really good for us to be able to learn from it as a community. And obviously when we're putting stuff out there ongoing in the future, we'll always have those learnings in mind. So I think that for people to be able to come onto a call and as a meeting afterwards was very beneficial to everyone to see it firsthand from various members of Outvertising, and I think it works really well. And there's no doubt that it's going to improve our collective creativity moving forward.
Well, it was. I think it was really great us also hearing from the creators' minds, and we often LGBTQ plus community can be accused of being talking to an echo chamber, and it certainly was much broader with OMB. It's a very expansive community. And Natasha, how did you find it when you were fielding some questions and hearing the different rationale behind some of the choices? And
yeah, I think obviously it was great. It felt very much a very collaborative process, and I think when you're judging any kind of works, especially when it speaks to kind of something that you're passionate about, it can be really tough. And so the social kind of gave us that chance to chat through and really get inside the minds of the creators of the work and really appreciate, and it just added to the healthy debate as well, and all the things that we're thinking about it. Yeah.
Because there were definitely and as totally understandably expected with people who are not overly exposed, there were a lot of rainbows, shall we say, applied to logos and lots of you should be talking to the rainbow but sort of to answer the brief, why should they be doing that? And the best really brought that out, but did it in a compelling kind of creative way.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's quite obvious to me, at least, when a piece of work is based on kind of an authentic, well understood insight or not. And I think we see a lot of the overuse of rainbows in our community already, and yeah, we're just used to seeing them come from brands, and it tends to come across, whether it's intended or not, it can come across as lazy or performative kind of rainbow washing that goes hand in hand with doing it just for Pride Month and not doing anything further than Pride Month. So I think that the work that we did see worked well. The ones that featured rainbows, at least, did so in kind of a clever, subtle way, and it was more than signposting that this is about the LGBTQ plus community. It was actually just clever things, I think, and it was good to see how people could use rainbows differently or not at all. So yeah, I think it's a really difficult thing to do, don't get me wrong. It takes some real understanding, I think.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing we really wanted to say and reiterate to to everyone who's actually submitted. Is a brave process to go through, and because that's one of the things that big brands are scared of, is doing anything other than putting a rainbow and being there at Pride or something. And actually, yes, everyone makes mistakes, but it's trying, and the positive intent, getting feedback, being open to that, as with anything, is a really healthy process. And actually, to that point, the reason we have Sam on as well is because in the social, I actually held him up for his journey. He really took us through a series of submissions early on in the day through towards the end, which was terrific to see. And if I can show you the first image of where you first started, and I know this is okay because we do it in the social, it was what we've termed you talking to me, why not? And we went from there through to what we call the black and white lips. So I'll give everyone a minute to just look at it, but there's a really big step forward from the left, which had a bit of feedback about better. There was a bit of feedback from the judges, but also the community of don't fetishize, don't always just show an extreme. And actually, with the series on the left, you made a series and you showed different people and different representations, and sort of evolved it and then added a why and some stats into it. But then by the end of the day, you've taken it onto a completely fresh concept, which is this one on the right, which just was overwhelmingly well received in immediately in the social, but also on Twitter and in the community, I think, Nick, and then yes, by the judges as well. Natasha, I think you were certainly fine.
I was a massive fan of this one. I am a massive fan of this one. I think it's particularly when you look at the starting point and where you got to. It's and this is one of the things about this awards as well. This particular awards was we were able to kind of see that progression as well. But yeah, the black and white lips, it's so clever. Like even just the showing of the lips and everything that, you know, in the copy there, the copy is it's banging. Everything in the copy is about the lips, and yeah, just really, really great. I love this. Like I can't get enough of this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant, like, it's a flip of a stereotype where you make assumptions with the black man's face, and then actually, again, with all the other brands, it's so clever. But Sam, I mean, thank you again for being bold and brave and actually going through that journey and taking that time. But how did you find it as a process?
Yeah, I think it was just really interesting because obviously this is like a subject that's really important, and I think it's something we've been kind of discussing quite a lot in my agency actually as well. And so when this brief came up, it just seemed really timely with what we've been discussing a lot. And so I was really keen to kind of get involved straight away and start thinking of some ideas. But unfortunately, and probably because of what Natasha was saying about what we see so commonly from brands being kind of, you know, the rainbow and kind of quite easily jumping into stereotypes, that's kind of I think that's kind of where I first went, just in terms of almost just trying to get the message across like as powerfully and as quickly as possible. And actually, obviously, it is 1 minute brief, so it kind of was where maybe my mind first went. And as you said, I did create a series, but what Nick actually kind of got in touch with me straight away and said, you know, I like where this is going, but actually, you know, maybe that image is just, you know, actually a little bit stereotypical. And it was something that immediately flicked a switch for me. And then I kind of progressed through the day, as you said. Firstly, I created like a series of those ads to show more of a breadth and depth. And then actually I got to this creative that you can see on the right. And I felt that it was really important to kind of use a close up rather than kind of you can't read anything from that image on its own. And I think or what you can read isn't necessarily what you might think, as you said. So then to juxtapose that with that copy, and especially to use those brands as well, I thought was just a really nice way to kind of get the message across and show that you know, what we need to be saying is that, you know, to those brands is that you can advertise to everyone because everyone uses these brands, and that's really what it's about, isn't it? Is opening it up to everyone, not just like the few. So yeah, it was a really great journey to go on, and with the community of 1 minute briefs as well to kind of help make that happen. So no, it was brilliant.
Great. And yeah, and it's just so good to, you know, as Jerry mentioned in the intro, showing that advertising really does make a difference for society, but it's also been shown to make a difference for your actual creative and memorability and cut through and brand preference in the UK. So it's just so heartening. And, you know, there were a number of great, I mean, there's a great shortlist, and that's what we talked about in the social. And we've actually got 2 shortlisted honourable mentions, because there can only be one winner, that we'll go onto shortly. But I think the other thing that was a bit unusual, I think, for the 1 minute brief is that we actually managed to get, although this brief was for the industry, for creatives to sort of be receiving, we actually managed to get some of the shortlist promoted in outdoor across the country in the last week or 2. And I've been seeing on Twitter you sharing them and people finding them across everywhere. How's that been? Have you had any feedback or?
Is that for me or?
Yeah, Nick, I guess there's.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few people tweeting in where we've prepared where some of the locations are, and some of the images. I mean, it's absolutely amazing the actual coverage that it's got from Clear Channel. So obviously a huge, massive thanks to them. But when you actually look at these things on the billboards and things, they're so clear and simple that they are getting that message out there to so many people very quickly. and I think the messages are really powerful, and I'm sure people are, looking at these because, wow, that's what they're there for. And I just think this the simple, powerful copywriting and imagery which comes out from stripping right back the ideas, which is obviously where the idea of Owen comes from. When you come out with, I mean, just looking at the last examples of Sam's ones there, they're both actually saying the same thing. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me is on the right hand side as well, but it's done in a much more powerful and subtle way. I actually think the series of Are You Talking to Me were actually quite good, because I thought they were quite powerful, and they really stood out. I think when seen in isolation, they appeared quite stereotypical. However, the one on the right hand side, like you say, with the lips, took away any type of stereotyping, and it just slightly subtly changed the copy, and that's why that worked much better.
Yeah, I think that the best ones didn't need to use any extreme stereotypes, because I think there is always a watch out, and that was a key piece of feedback. I think, although it is a part of community, it can sort of sometimes come across as a bit fetishizing or extreme, and the majority of the community, it's such a small thing, but if that's all they ever see, then they get marginalized themselves into a into a stereotype, which is never liberating. But also, you see, when you remove that, your creative just blossomed, I think, into something that really raised above it. And to that point, and we're of time, I'd like to introduce the first honourable mention, drumroll, by the judges, which was what we called Alphabet by Alvo Muses, or at Alvo Muses. As an honourable mention of creating a poster to the creative community. I mean, this one, we had a lot of, there was always a good test when you got a lot of excited chatter about it. And actually, Natasha, we talked about it extensively in the social and in the judging, because it's so clever. It did take some people a few minutes to realise, and we sort of thought maybe it's well in a tube car or something, and so, but actually in an advert, in an agency, poster, that would actually work well. But how did you find it?
This one, I love the idea behind this, and it's almost perfect, but I actually did find it quite difficult to see what was missing, because I think the way the letters are stacked, and also if you're not necessarily part of the LGBTQ plus community, you wouldn't automatically get it straight away. So I think it speaks to half of the audience that it needs to speak to, but maybe not the other half. But I love the idea behind this, and that end line, hard to communicate effectively when something's clearly missing. Brilliant. Yeah.
And I think that was the thing as well, is like, this is the caveat that this is all the submitters just doing this straight off the back, no opportunity. They're just being fearless and getting it out there. When we put ads out, they normally go through iterations, sense checks. So to get this far and be that clever, I think with all of them, there are slight tweaks you can all sort of make, but
really good use of rainbow as well.
Exactly. And you also pointed out the hashtag here actually helped cue a little bit to like, what are you looking for, a little bit, to be a bit inclusive. But and moving on to the next honourable mention, which was Reframe by Pulp Ideas. If we can pull that up. Next image. Yes, we go. Natasha, again, another one that was widely well received, both in the social and in the judging.
And this one was really a firm favourite, really. Yeah, sorry, I cut you out there.
Yeah, no. And I think you had a really salient point or actually, I think it was a number of people brought it up of saying we need to reframe advertising. That's literally the brief, is to think a bit broader. It's to kind of, quite an optimization was almost like the aperture needs to widen out to include others.
To actually include them. And it's almost, I kept looking at it thinking, oh, it's almost there, but there's something, maybe that the gay couple at the front there, or the gay couples at the front there, need to be made that slightly more obvious. But yeah, great idea.
I think it was also a bit of feedback that people enjoyed the bit of discovery of like what is different here, and then you kind of your focus goes out and you go, oh yeah, why am I not looking at why is it just a heterosexual sort of cliche couple? But yeah, another great addition. And then finally, to announce the winner, I'm very honoured to say with the next image that it's actually Sam. So we were teasing a bit with showing his journey, but he very, very much deserves the title for this one because it was resounding. There was winner across all touch points. So you deservedly won that kind of best rallying cry for more inclusivity, and should be really proud of yourself. And we really appreciate your efforts in even getting to this point and that journey, and hopefully it's something you can kind of take across your other work and continue as well. But I mean, was there any particular thoughts, Nick, from the community? I think that does the onboard community. I think that it was a favourite as well, wasn't it?
I mean, when you see that image on that we've seen of this one on the billboard, which the landscape billboard, which I think is my favourite. I actually think I think the poster's exceptional, and I think it's one of the best adverts I've seen in a long time for anything. So to see it up on a billboard was a very proud moment for me, and obviously seeing it for Sam, because I just think I can't. When you see it, you think, oh my god, that's brilliant.
So
you just get it away. It's got everything in it, and it's so simple, and it just doesn't need anything else. And I hope it might. I don't know.
I mean, no, it's great. This is the thing. We everyone's just gushes about it, and I, it's one that it's an iconic image that you can imagine literally straight on out there straight away as is, and I think I just we're out of time, but I want to thank you all so much. And if there was one point of takeaway that you wanted to share, Natasha, or recommendation,
just to if you're looking to advertise for the LGBTQ plus community, it has to be rooted in authenticity. And if you're not from the community yourself, then do your research, and proper research. And I think what this winning entry showed was we got to see the progression and the learning, and I think it comes across really well that the research was there basically, and it worked. And before you even add any creativity to that, you can see that the strategy is there and the creativity has blown me away.
Yeah. Sam, was there any key thing you want to share, or?
No, I absolutely echo that. I think it is just that thing of really being aware of what's out there already and what other people have done, and making sure that you don't you try to be as aware as you possibly can. But yeah, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. It's really been brilliant, and yeah, as Nick says, seeing this out there and on those billboards and stuff is just really amazing as well. It's just such an incredible opportunity that you guys have given. So yeah, I really have appreciated it and enjoyed the journey, and we'll take it into everything I do moving forward as well.